Hi guys, so I've got a couple of projects going on that maybe we'll get to later. That one's a real cool one with the doll repaint. And over here I am finishing up an Xbox controller with Snow White. So if you'd like to see both of those videos come to completion, let me know in the comments below. But today we're going to be working on this cute little stuffed bear that a friend got that she needs me to do something on. She wants a hidden pocket inside, so we're going to first find the seams on the bear. There's some on the arms, around the neck, of course the leg holes, and this one has one that goes across the bottom. So we're going to look for the best seam to cut open that won't damage the bear and we'll be able to hide the hole. And in this case, it's going to be right there on the neck. All of you stuffy lovers, look away. I'm gonna have to cut him open, but don't worry, I was very careful when I did this. We've got to pull back most of the fluff and hair so that we don't actually cut a lot of his away. Like I said, we don't want to hurt him, we just want to open up that seam right there. Inevitably, you are going to get a little bit of fluff cut though. Sorry, Mr. Teddy Bear. So now that I've got another angle, it's easier to make it more wide. Because we're doing a hidden pocket inside, we are going to have to take out some of this fluff so that whatever you put inside the pocket is going to fit. Now, I'm a crafter, so I don't throw away anything, and this fluff will be great for another project. And I need to make sure that I can fit 3 fingers in there because, ta-da! We need to put a passy inside. Because I tested it, I know it needs to be just slightly bigger so that it'll fit easy in and out. Now we're not going to stop right there because look at all that fuzz on that pacifier. Ugh, nobody wants to stick that in their mouth. So we're going to make an actual pocket. I'm taking some of this leftover blue fabric that I found somewhere in my house, and I'm going to cut it into a rectangle shape with my trusty scissors. These are crinkle cut scissors for fabric, and they help it not to fray. And I'm going to be using these because I'm not going to be the best sewer on this project. My sewing machine broke down right as I was trying to do this, so it was good that I used this and the fabric wouldn't fray as much since I was going to have to end up hand sewing it. If you want a more detailed sewing tutorial, let me know below. I love to sew all kinds of things, including human-sized patterns. So forgive the horrible sewing for today, we're just going to wing it with what I've got available. Now to size check again and make sure that the passy will fit inside. And there's a little bit of extra room if she happens to want to put another one in there or something else special like a note. So I'm just threading my needle and making a knot on the end by looping it around my fingers a couple of times and then twisting off. See the knot? Sorry for the stop motion, but this video would have been really long if I hadn't sped it up like this. Anyway, I'm just doing a loop stitch, a really simple up and over. That'll hold our edges in good enough for this project. I'm not used to working with a curved needle, but that's what I had on hand. And generally, if you're sewing something like a stuffy, it's easier to use a curved needle because you don't have to search for it and finagle the stuffed animal in all kinds of weird positions to get that stitch right. But sewing straight lines and edges is a tad bit harder with the curved needle, I will admit. For this project, it didn't matter what color the fabric was, as it was hidden inside of the teddy bear, But honestly, I would have loved to have had a more pastel color. I just didn't have any on hand. This teddy bear, I should mention also, is for a friend of mine. Well, actually a family member. And they love a lot of the same things I do, so I thought it would be really nice to just treat her to a little space of her own that nobody knew about. Not that I'm encouraging hiding anything per se, but I do know that little kids run around her place quite often, and sometimes you have those items that you just don't want anybody messing with. So while they can pick up the bear and play with it, they're not automatically going to know that something important to her might be hidden inside. Plus, it's a lot harder to lose something when you've got it in a stuffed animal. Am I right? Anyway, I finished that up and turned it inside out, and I'm going to make sure that it all fits inside the bear. And yes, I'm keeping the pacifier in there to sew it, just because that's easier for me. Now, I will say that tying this into the bear was a little bit tricky. So take your time and go slow. You want to make sure that you're going far enough up into the bear that you've got a secure grip, but you don't want to go too far past that seam that you cut open, because then it'll look a little funny when you get it all closed up. Luckily, most of the seam stayed on one side when I cut the bear open, so I have a really secure spot to start sewing it onto. And the other side, I'm just going to have to go up a couple of centimeters into the fabric so that it doesn't unravel. Again, like I said, a curved needle was a whole lot better for this since you don't have a lot of room to move them every which way. As I'm doing this, you can't see it on camera, but I'm folding over that top edge that we didn't stitch just so it's a little bit nicer. Don't worry, Mr. Teddy, I'm fixing you back up. If I'd have been smart, I would have stopped at the top edge and put new thread on so that I could go all the way around with lots of stitches. But for some reason, I didn't do that. And so I ran short just a couple of stitches before I closed it up on the bottom. But that was fine because I had a different idea for a closure. So, just reminding you not only to take your time, but to make sure that you have enough of the supplies that you need to finish your project before you start. You don't want to get halfway through and then find out you need something and put the project down and never come back to it. That's just no fun. Struggling with that curve a little bit there. If your bear is not quite so fluffy, you're gonna have to be a little bit more careful with how you place the stitches. But because this bear was one of the fluffy stuffies, it's gonna cover up those stitches just fine. And unlike the fabric, which is a brighter color, the string that I was using to sew it together is actually the same color as his fur. So, double plus. Yay, we're almost to the end. Again, the end of it. And right there, my string broke on me because it was a little bit too short, so I just went ahead and hand tied the knot. Don't know if you can see that very well with my hands inside of the camera. I'm just using the needle here to help me scooch it underneath the last stitch so that I can tie it off. Yay, it's all secure. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Because I wanted to make sure that this was extra secure, I went ahead and tacked it right around where I made that knot with some E6000 glue. I just wanted to make sure when she tugged on it that it didn't come out. And last but not least, we're going to figure out the closure for this teddy bear. I wish I knew his name. So we're going to actually add a snap. Make sure that you have all 4 parts for one snap. A top and a bottom, and then a top and the other part that snaps into the bottom. So I'm going to wiggle the end of this snap through and put its partner piece on. And I'm going to take my handy dandy snap pliers, I think that's what they're called, and I'm going to snap that together. If you've never worked with snaps before, the first time you look at them can be a little bit tricky on figuring out which sides you need to use where, but honestly it's super easy, and I would suggest investing in it if you do a lot of sewing projects. Usually they come with a little pointy piece that you can poke a hole through, and I should have done that here considering I was going through about 3 layers of fabric and fur, but I thought that I could force it through, and eventually I was able to. You just have to wiggle it around a lot. I didn't want to break the threads I was sticking the end through. I just wanted to move them over so that the ends could connect and I could use the snap. Crimp! Oh, smush it down! Alright, so now that I did that, I can snap it together, and I'm just fluffing out its fur a little bit. Look, you can hardly see. Now, you can stop there, but I didn't. I wanted to see if I had any extra fur that I could cover up that with. And I actually decided that I was going to mix up some paint and cover the button first with a soft blue pastel to match him. Ooh, mixing. Still just a tiny bit bright, so another drop of white. There we go. Teddy bear blue. So I'm just painting the button the same color as his fur so it helps it blend in. Look at that. Now, sometimes with certain types of paint, you can go ahead and stick stuff on them, but I actually had to go back and use some more of that E6000 on the top of this button to keep those hairs in place. So keep that in mind. See, little bear, we fixed you, and you can hardly tell. See you next time.